Welcome to Discipleship Parenting. This is a place where we talk about how to best bring our kids to Jesus Christ. And as parents, this is a big task. But parenting right now is not easy. I mean, with a national election around the corner and everybody so divided, we're parenting in perilous times. So how in the world are we supposed to train up our kids and teach them this is how we act, this is how we treat each other, when it seems like all the discourse is exactly the opposite of that? How do we teach our kids how to disagree in a respectable way? How do we teach our kids how to fight the right way? If you are new to this channel, I invite you, click subscribe, join what we're doing here as we work on discipling our kids together. Let's get into this. The first thing about a healthy disagreement is teaching respect. I mean, we have to understand that we are not infallible. We do not understand absolutely everything. We're working from our own perspective, from the things we know. And so we need to teach our kids that just because they hold views which they believe to be completely true, and they might be, that doesn't mean that the opposing views are inherently wrong. Because that person is approaching it from a different standpoint, from a different perspective, and so their views might be just as correct as yours, which is a novel idea in today's world. Because so often we pit ourselves against each other. I'm right, therefore you must be wrong. But what if both are partially right and partially wrong? And so I challenge you, teach your kids how to respect. Teach them about their own perspective, their own viewpoints. And although their experiences show them this is true, someone else who's grown up in a completely different place, in a completely different worldview, is going to have a different perspective and a different understanding of what they believe to be true. And possible that the ultimate truth is somewhere in between. Also, when teaching respect, it's important to help them to understand that the relationship is more important than the idea. What I mean by that is, so often in order to win arguments, we tend to demonize the other person. We tend to tear them down to support our argument. But that's not healthy, because arguments come and go, but is this worth losing friends over? Is it worth losing people we love? As parents, we need to stop unfriending people on Facebook just because they have differing views than us. Because every time we do that, we are narrowing down our echo chamber, which means that if all the voices we hear agree with us, then any pushback we're giving is just in this one tiny area. And so it helps us to delve deeper into our views instead of expanding them and understanding from different perspectives. And so I challenge you, stop deleting friends from Facebook. But you might say, oh, but some of it is so negative, it is not helping. I'm okay with positive discourse, but this hate that's being spewed, it's hard to handle. I get it. It is hard to handle. And it's really difficult because I'm seeing it from people who I know in real life, who this isn't the way they talk. This isn't the way they treat each other. But somehow online, this has been made okay. If Facebook is that toxic for you, which I get, don't delete friends, because that's adding to the toxicity of it. Delete your own account. Take a break from Facebook, because here's the thing. Our children watch the way we interact with people online. They're learning correct online etiquette. How can we be surprised when online bullying is happening in our schools, when it's also happening amongst the parents? So if we want to model what healthy disagreement looks like, we've got to take the first step. If we're talking about healthy disagreements, we've got to focus on the facts. So often we use extreme language to win our arguments. We use unrealistic scenarios to push our point through. We use the extremes. But if we focus on the facts, we'll find that maybe we don't disagree as much. But also, when you focus on facts, you don't feel the need to tear the other person down, to destroy them, to support your argument. Because it's not about you or them. It's about the ideas. And so you need to focus on facts. Also, we need to build each other up. We need to not say things behind people's backs that we wouldn't be able to say to their face. And that includes not saying things about them or to them online that we wouldn't say to them if they were in our living room. Also, an often neglected element of healthy discussions, healthy disagreements is listening. You see, we are so good at trying to argue these things that we never take time to actually listen to the other side. And I'm not talking about listening just for the purpose of pushing back or fighting, because when we do that, then we're not actually listening at all. We're listening while we're formulating our comebacks or our responses. And if you're listening like that, you are not listening to understand. Teach your kids how to listen with the purpose of understanding. Teach them how to ask questions as they're listening. Teach them how to repeat back these ideas so that they know they're understanding exactly what is intended from the person they're talking with. And it's only then when you fully understand what the other person's saying that you have the ability to respond. But you might find that your response isn't what it initially would have been had you just jumped into the argument. Listening is so important. We as adults, we need to listen. We need to model that to our children as well. When they're upset, help them find their voice and express what it is that's bothering them, what it is that's going on, so that they're better equipped and prepared to explain that to others when there's a disagreement, when there's a fight. The end of the day, all these things said, if we really want our kids to treat others the way they would want to be treated, if we want to raise disciples of Jesus Christ who love their enemies, we've got to model that. We've got to live that out in our own lives. So sometimes we think, you know what, if I'm going to have a disagreement with my spouse, I've got to be really careful. I don't want the kids to hear that. I mean, that's traumatic. Nobody likes hearing their parents fight. And so we wait until they're out of earshot or they're asleep, and then we have these disagreements. What might actually be better, though, is have safe disagreements. Allow yourself to disagree with your children there so they see mom and dad don't always perfectly see eye to eye, but that's okay because they still love each other. And model to them what a healthy disagreement looks like. Take time to listen. Take time to understand. Base your opinions and your ideas on facts, not on scare tactics or fear or your feelings of the moment. And teach your kids how to love through a disagreement. Also, as you're modeling to them, remember, take time to listen to your kids, to understand what they're thinking, because they will form their own ideas. They will form their own political views. And guess what? They may not be exactly the same as yours. You don't want them to think for a moment that because they disagree about who should be president, that somehow that is going to jeopardize their relationship with you. because it shouldn't. Nor should it jeopardize their relationship with Jesus Christ. So let's raise up a generation that ends this completely partisan world that we have found ourselves in. Let's raise up a generation who knows how to work together to talk things through, even when they disagree.